Today we're going to go over the camera housing CAD model. I'm going to walk you through where everything is and how it's going to work. Alright, first let's go over where I got the camera from. I use this site known as GrabCAD, which is essentially a public forum or resource area for CAD models. I'll link the website below. Whenever you need any CAD model that you can't find from the manufacturer, always go here because the models on here are always accurate. Okay, now that we've gone over where to get the camera, we need to use the camera to make the housing. Let's start with the outside. We have the entire housing, the thing that's going to protect the camera from any damage while we are at the competition. This part is relatively simple, so I won't go over it too much, but I will mention this. If you remember when I went over our intake system and how I built the intake purely based on the cone, this is how I built the outside of the camera housing. Now let's move on to the inside of the camera housing. For the inside, we're going to have to make sure that we can actually put the camera into the housing. This means that the cable must have free passage, but the given mount, this part right here, must also have free passage. Unfortunately, this mount can't be taken off, which is why we have to work with it and around it, which is why you see this backplate with a bunch of divots and gaps for the cables and the mount. Once we've made a gap for where the cable is supposed to go, it is now free of supports. We need to now make something that supports the cable. For that, we have this small part right here, which essentially lets the cable rest on the top, as you can see right here, and allows it to be attached to the actual camera housing with a simple screw. Okay, now we've secured the cable, but how about the camera? Since we're sliding it in from the bottom, there is no support for the camera. It'll just fall out once we let it go. I made a separate piece which essentially looks like a bar atop some brackets, and it is essentially a brace for a camera. The good thing about this piece is that it's easily removable and is only attached to the housing and not the camera. As you can see, it's flat and there's nothing to attach the top bar to the camera. This housing does not break any of the rules of the manufacturer and preserves its subtool protection. Alright, now that we have all this setup all done, we just need to cover the underbody of the camera and fully encase the camera inside the housing. We make some simple rectangles that fit this box and make some screw holes, and we're done. And last but not least, we add our logo and team number to the front of the camera housing to make it unmistakably ours.